If we want this to have impact on rural communities, we would want some of these mini grids to be built in typical villages, such as your village when you were young, like you said, where there is no light. There might not be light in those places for the next 10 years. So when you build that, some of these mini grid in those areas, the impact will be more far-reaching than building it in Abuja, where somebody can easily be connected through the already existing network that we have. So I think this is something that you people will take into consideration. Yes, you are bringing the money, so he who pay the piper dictate the tune. But what you want as a country is to assist us. We appreciate it deeply. In assisting us, we should maximize that assistance. And the only way we can maximize it is that this should be taken to typical villages where the people can have the desired impact on this. Why you can build maybe one in Abuja here, you can take the other ones in some villages. Also, the design, I've not read what you've sent here, but from my experience, what he has said, if you have about 7-point-something billion in Nigerian term, or 12 million US, if you want to build a mini solar plant of 1 megawatt, that costs you $1 million. 1 megawatt of solar will cost you $1 million. So even with this, you can build 12 mini grid of 1 megawatt each across the country. So if we say you are building 4 in Abuja, it means that each mini grid costs 4 million. That is like 4 megawatts of solar. 4 megawatts of solar can take a city as big as Makedi. So if we concentrate all of that in Abuja, it will not be impactful. So rather than concentrate 4 mini grids costing $4 million US, 4 megawatts each, it is better to build 1 megawatt of each. And when you do that, if you build 1 megawatt of solar in a typical village, you can take close to 500 villages that will be covered with that. That will create the impact that you, the Korean government, will be happy to relate to. So our own suggestion as representative of the Nigerian people is that even if we go ahead and divide to build half a megawatt, it then means that you are going to have about 24 mini grid in the country. Half a megawatt will cost you about $500,000 US. So we are appealing that instead of concentrating them here, let the agency sit down with you as suggested by the MD for us to build 1 megawatt each, which will have 12. That means that you have two per. The country operates in geo zones. We have 6 geopolitical zones. You build 2 in the northwest, as you said, 2 in the northeast, 2 in the north central, 2 in the south-south, 2 in the southeast, 2 in the southwest. You would have covered the entire country with 1 megawatt of solar power, and the impact will be amazing. So, Your Excellency the Ambassador, I want to join the MD and appeal to you as a representative of the Korean government to go back to them and say, look, for you, Korea, to create that desired impact in Nigeria, it is better to divide that into the different geopolitical zones. And like I said, costing of a megawatt of solar will cost $1 million per megawatt. And 1 megawatt of electricity in an environment is a lot of electricity. So that will be the appeal that we'll be putting forward. We'll also be glad if we invite us to come and have a look at the nuclear facility supplying power in South Korea. I'm aware that South Africa also have similar source of power for their electricity. The way to go is nuclear, since after the Copper 26 in Glasgow, the contention globally is that we should reduce emission to 0.5% down the road, so that we have the issue of climate change will be attended to. So we'll be glad to have a look at what we are doing in regards to the nuclear facility that is a source of electricity in South Korea. And so I believe that you will take our plea back to your government. We have accepted and appreciated deeply the grant. You are giving us grant, not loan. We appreciate that deeply. But let me have the design part that you wanted, which is spreading the entire of the mini grid across the entire country. That will give us more impact than it is presently presented in this document here. We will allow you to respond to it, and then if you have anything to say with regards to our appeal, you have the opportunity to do that.
Korea, you're welcome. Excellency, you're all welcome. And thank you very much, distinguished chairman and distinguished members of the Senate Committee on Power, for setting this meeting up. Because I must admit, this is the first time I'm having this sort of interaction with the ambassador. The people or the company I've been dealing with has been Kiat, who have been coming to me based on the direction that they are representing the Korean Ministry of Trade and Investment. So first, I'll start by reading a statement that was issued in the newspapers right after the event that was done last week at the Hilton, and it's just a few lines. So the Korean government on Monday said it would provide $12.4 million for construction of solar mini grids in Nigerian communities, as the ambassador has said and as you have also mentioned. So the Vice President of the Korean Institute for Advancement of Technology of the Republic of Korea stated this in Abuja. The project is designed to meet rising energy demand of rural communities by constructing solar power generation systems in cooperation with the Nigerian government. He said the project would boost local economy, create jobs, fight poverty, and improve the lives of residents. Additionally, by narrowing the energy gap between the cities and rural areas, the project is expected to drive balanced development across the country. So I read this very short newspaper report, and this appeared on the Daily Trust newspaper, just to align further with Your Excellency on the spread of these projects. So ab initio, we were meant to have even signed an agreement at that business presentation. But unfortunately, we were unable to sign that agreement at that time because we also had similar concerns about, number one, the spread of the projects, number two, how many projects we should be able to do with this sort of grant that we're receiving. As you have mentioned, Your Excellency, we do also understand that it is a grant. However, I believe on behalf of the Nigerian people, even if we are getting a grant, I think based on the statement that we have also read, I don't think having $12.4 million to be spent on 4 mini grids in Abuja would be able to allow us have this sort of impact, as I have read from the newspaper reports that we're getting after that business presentation. So we made this case very, very early with Kiat, who have been our entry point go-between. When we have also asked for these reconsiderations, but at all times when we have asked for it, we have not been able to make progress on it, because we are told that this is a decision that has already been taken, and it will be difficult for us to change the decision at this point in time. And also, including that, we also raise concerns, as I mentioned, on additional capacity, sustainability of the projects, and the value for money. As you know, Your Excellency, we have done mini grids around the country, so we have a good understanding and knowledge of how these mini grids can be deployed. So in terms of the things that we have done, we have even tried to take the company. So Ilgin is the company that is representing Kiat. So they have some technical engineers who we have even taken to some standard mini grid sites within Abuja, so that they can see the quality of the mini grids that we have been able to deliver. In furtherance to that, Your Excellency, we were also unable to go ahead at that time because, as you know, sir, this is a bilateral arrangement. And for us at the REA, we are trying to bring together all government instruments that allow the government to sign such agreements, including the Federal Ministry of Budget and National Planning, the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs, our own supervisory ministry, the Federal Ministry of Power, including now the Nigerian mission here in Nigeria, represented by the ambassador, and then the Ministry of Trade and Investment in Korea, represented by Kiat. So we're trying to bring all these stakeholders to the table. Let's agree on this concept first before we go ahead and sign that MOU, which at that point in time, as at last week, some of these things have not been put in place yet. So in terms of trying to make progress, we said to them that it would be important, perhaps for now, to have an MOU around the grant of $12.4 million being brought to Nigeria. However, if we were to understand and optimize that particular amount of money, we need to sit down. And it's not something that we will sit down and decide over 2 or 3 days. We need to sit down and really understand how can this project have the desired impact, as mentioned even by Kiat themselves after that presentation, and see exactly how we can design it from a technical perspective so that we can have the coverage that we require and the desired impact. So this is where we are currently with this agreement, and we're currently waiting to have a follow-on meeting with the Ministry of Budget and National Planning. Before then, the REA had communicated this same position to Kiat, communicated to the ministries and all stakeholders that were involved there and then. We have also done extensive research on our side to understand the costing of some of these mini grids, given that we know that they are, we know locally how we've been able to deploy them. And in addition to that, we have offered to partner, even though I understand that the Koreans are in a position to, they are the ones that are bringing, the contractors, but even though I know there are also security concerns, which were some of the issues that they raised, but we did assure them that whatever it is that is required from us as a country, we should be able to do it, and with your support, Your Excellency, and I know that my supervisory ministry have also shown tremendous support, we will be able to align our programs with the South Korean government so that we are able to make the most of this grant that they are bringing. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Ambassador, I hope you understand very well the issues raised by the agency that will be supervising this project. The summary of it is that for us to optimize
and what you mentioned regarding spreading the mini grid to geopolitical zones instead of concentrating on Abuja. I take your request seriously. I'll convey your request to Seoul. But I have to tell you, I am not in a position to decide the technical aspect. You know, I am not expert on this matter, and then I am not in a position to make a judgment whether this is good, that is good. But my understanding until now is that they discussed, I mean the Korean side, Nigerian side discussed this mini grid project to install in Abuja area. That's my understanding up to now. So your suggestion is different from what I have understand until now. So, but I will discuss with the matter regarding the local partners and then the cost of per megawatt, etc. Actually, this is a new thing to me. But so I will return to my office and then I will study and then I will consult with my officers what we can do more. But as I said, the best way, basically, in terms of a technical aspect need to discuss between experts, not politicians, not diplomats. So technical experts need to meet each other. They discuss. With regard to nuclear power, thank you very much for showing interest. So basically, it's up to your government decision. To go nuclear is a major political decision. It's not technical decision, actually. So we'll wait for your reply. I provide you information material, and then my country, when we went into nuclear power, is the decision made by the highest level of political position, and then political leadership, parties, all are involved. It's sort of a national decision. It should be made in that way, I think, in Nigeria as well. So it should be discussed, I think, among Nigerian elite, like senators, ministers, so experts. So they need to discuss. They need to look at the pros and cons, and then make a decision. And when you make a decision, my suggestion is that look at Korea as one of the possible options. And that's what I will finish here. Can you add anything?
Okay. And agree on the technicality of how the project is going to be carried out. But the agreement will be signed, but we want to please appeal that the siting of the mini grid should be representative enough so that it will have a representative impact. You are from which state? Huh? That is man representing him in the Senate, so it's from this side, so we can snap.